What's up, everybody? This is the X-Man here, and today I want to talk about how Halo 6's story can be saved. Now, whatever you might think of Halo 5, whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you dislike it, or you don't care about it, I think we all want the Reclaimer Saga to come to a satisfying conclusion, and I don't think that's impossible. Now, we all know that Halo 5 has its share of problems in terms of its storytelling, characters, plot, etc. Right? There's a lot of things wrong with it. If you want a more in-depth explanation of what exactly is wrong with it, feel free to check out my campaign review videos. And while I think it is a good idea to diagnose the problems with something, I think it's even more important to provide a solution. And that's exactly what this video is going to do. Provide a solution, or at least an idea, of how Halo 6's story can be saved. Most of you may not know this, but you might have suspected it. Yes, Halo 5 had a major rewrite during its production, and the story we got was not the story they wanted to tell. Plain and simple, those are the facts right there, alright? Even if you like Halo 5's story, it was not the story we were meant to get. Period. Now, the problem is that Halo 5 has already been released, and its story cannot be thrown away, right? It is an integral part. It is between Halo 4 and Halo 6, right? And it connects to both of them, so it can't be removed. So how can Halo 6's story be saved? How is that even possible? You know, whether you're someone that's done with Halo, or you hate 343 and Microsoft and what they've done with the franchise, whether you're the complete opposite and you love everything that they've done and you love the story, we all want the same thing, right? We want this story to be satisfying, to be a good conclusion, and to make all of us happy again, right? We all want that. But the question is, how can that happen? How can the pieces all come together? I think in order for Halo's story to recover, it's going to need a miracle. Nothing short of a miracle is going to save Halo 6's story. And that means that the next main Halo game is going to be incredibly important. And it's going to have to bring everything to the table. And 343 and Microsoft probably know that all of us Halo fans were a bit scared, right? We're a bit shaky about the newest main Halo game. Regardless of whether or not you liked Halo 5 or Halo 4 or you hated both of them, those two games feel so separated from each other that it almost ruins the whole trilogy. There is potential here to save the story. But how can that happen? Let's brainstorm a few ways, shall we? Well, it's pretty much impossible that 343 and Microsoft are just going to rewrite or retcon all of Halo 5. They're not going to do that. The story is already out. And not only would retconning and rewriting it piss off the fans that love the story, but it would also be admitting their mistakes, right? And basically saying, we fucked up, give us another shot. And it's like, it's too late for that, right? So they can't rewrite or retcon the story just yet. Is it possible that Halo 6 could bring everything together and create a satisfying conclusion all on its own? Whew. I think that's a long shot, because if that's the case, if Halo 6 is going to be the next main Halo game, it's going to have to be the longest campaign in the Halo franchise to make up for all the ground that was lost in Halo 5, right? Now, Halo 6 can't be salvaged by expanded material, because most of the fans play the games, and they play the campaign, and they don't go to the expanded material. So this isn't something that you can fix in a book outside of the main games. This has to be something in the game itself. So what options do we have left? They're not going to rewrite Halo 5. It's going to be downright impossible for them to recover in Halo 6 alone, and they can't fix it in expanded material. So what is our last option? A spin-off. A spin-off Halo game, a game that bridges the gap between Halo 4 and 5. That's the only way I see this story being salvaged, being saved, is if there's a story in between Halo 4 and 5 that does everything Halo 5 was meant to do but didn't. Honestly, I think 343 needed to stick with their guns on Halo 4 and tell the story that was meant to be told. George R.R. Martin said something along the lines of, the audience does not have a say in the art, in the way the story is told. And that was probably the biggest problem that 343 made with Halo 4, is they got a bad reaction to it at first, right? They didn't give people the time to warm up to it. And the story was so radically different from the past games that it had a bad reaction to it. And thus 343 thought that they needed to completely change the direction of the story instead of sticking to their guns and telling the story that they wanted and were going to tell. And I think the spin-off game in between Halos 4 and 5 could continue that story, as well as set up all the characters that were in Halo 5 that are now integral parts of the story. You know, and this Halo 4.5 would introduce the Warden Eternal, you know, maybe have him team up with the Didact, show a bit more of the Promethean army, give that whole Promethean faction a new level of characterization and depth. You know, maybe the Warden Eternal and the Didact are two different sides of the same coin or something, and they butt heads and they lead different Promethean forces, but they all also work together to try to accomplish a goal. You know, I'm just brainstorming here. You know, having the Warden and the Didact team up would be fucking awesome, I think. And give the Warden the ability to have some type of character, some type of purpose in the game. And show the hierarchy of the Promethean forces. Make them more than just robots. Meanwhile, the game could also show Jul 'Mdama, the Arbiter, Swords of Sanghelios, the Covenant, and all of those guys fighting for power, fighting for control. You know, it's a new guard. It's a changing of the guard once again. The Covenant is being overthrown by the Swords of Sanghelios, and now a new dawn is rising. That could bridge the gap for those guys and set up Jul 'Mdama for his regrettable death in Halo 5. And this would also fresh out the conflicts and characters of the Covenant a bit more. And then you could show Chief meeting up with Blue Team, right? You could really show him struggling with the loss of Cortana in Halo 4.5. You know, show us Chief meeting up with Blue Team, why they met up, how they met up. Show these things in this spin-off game before Halo 5. At the same time, show us Fireteam Osiris and how they come together. Maybe show Buck getting his promotion to be part of the Spartan program. Show them training together. Give them more backstory and characterization. Make it so that this Halo 4.5 game is about developing the characters and setting things up for Halo 5. You know, I think the most important part is that we see all these characters and we see their development. We see their motivations, what drives them. Perhaps we also see the Didact controlling Cortana and trying to manipulate the Chief and setting things up for Halo 5. I'm not going to talk about the very specifics of what should be in the story, but the basic things, right? The character development, the setting, the plot, the premise, everything. Setting it up in a way that makes it possible for Halo 6 to come around and bring it all to a satisfying conclusion. The spin-off game would basically be building up the UNSC, the Covenant, and the Promethean forces to all converge in Halo 5, right? Like I said, we can't remove Halo 5. It is an integral part. It is unremovable from the Reclaimer Saga. So the only thing that can really happen is to improve everything around Halo 5 to hopefully bring the saga up a little bit higher, right? That's our best bet, guys. That's honestly what I think needs to happen if Halo 6's story is going to be saved and come to a satisfying conclusion. I really don't see any other way of this happening. You know, and it is possible that Halo 6 is the longest campaign, 20 missions, a 25-hour campaign with a buttload of terminals, expanded material in-game, cards that you can read, backstory, all that. It's possible that Halo 6 will have all of that. But that is such a high expectation that I almost don't think we should bank on that. So the next best thing is to make a spin-off game, a Halo 4.5 game. You know, I've been thinking about this ever since I started reviewing the Halo 5 campaign. And this is what I've come to. This is what I think needs to happen in order for Halo 6's story to be saved and for the whole thing to come to a good conclusion. But what do you think? What do you think about all this? About what I've said about Halo 4, 5, and 6 and the story and the Reclaimer Saga? What do you think about a spin-off game, a Halo 4.5, or maybe even a Halo 5.5? Do you believe there is a way for Halo 6's story to be saved? Do you think it's impossible? Or do you think there are a set of circumstances that could lead to Halo 6 coming to a satisfying conclusion? Post your comments down below as always. And guys, make sure you vote on comments that you agree with. You know, give them an upvote so that it's easier for everyone to see the popular opinions and kind of help us all come to an agreement on things. All right? So I'm very excited to hear what all of you have to say about this topic. So make sure you post your comments below, make sure you vote on the comments that you agree with, and also subscribe to the Act Man channel. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace!